Hey everyone, I'm Erik, and in this episode of Decoded, I'm taking a look at HyperX Alloy keyboards. Now, when it comes to buying a gaming keyboard, you've got a lot of things to consider. Switches, ergonomics, RGB backlighting, and more. Well, this week I had a chance to check out a pair of very different HyperX gaming keyboards, and one of them might just be the right one for you. Here are my impressions of the HyperX Alloy Core RGB wired membrane and Alloy Origins with red linear switches gaming keyboards. First up, let's take a look at the Alloy Core RGB wired membrane gaming keyboard. The MSRP for this one is $49.99, so it's super affordable. Now, what do you get for that price? Well, you get a pretty solid membrane keyboard. But what does that mean, membrane? Well, it means that rather than having individual mechanical switches for each key, the keys contact a flexible tactile feedback surface or membrane to register each keystroke. What's the benefit here? Well, two big things. Membrane keyboards generally cost less, and the keystrokes are much quieter. There's also less pressure needed to register your keystrokes, so it's great for typing and decent for gaming too, especially for gamers that don't want to break the bank. In using this keyboard, I have to say the typing feels super fast and natural. When you plug this keyboard in, the first thing you notice is that vivid glowing backlight, which defaults to a slowly cycling rotation of colors. With a simple key press, you can adjust the RGB backlights, setting them to off, dim, or bright. You can also choose from one of 6 RGB effects presets, that default color cycle I mentioned, as well as spectrum wave, which is a slowly moving rainbow of colors, breathing, which is a pulsing red, solid red, 5 zones, a static rainbow array that appropriately splits the keyboard up into 5 separate zones, and aura, which is a slowly cycling pastel rainbow. Up next to those RGB controls is another button with a G logo on it, which turns the game mode on or off. This basically disables your window key to eliminate accidental interruptions. That, paired with anti-ghosting functionality, guarantees that every single keystroke registers, even when multiple keys are pressed at once. In the upper right corner of the keyboard, you've got dedicated media keys, which allow you to quickly mute or adjust volume without opening your sound settings or volume mixer. You can also use these keys to skip tracks, play, and stop. While testing this keyboard, I had Spotify running in the background, and I used these keys to skip all the tracks I didn't like in my release radar. I didn't even have to switch windows or anything. A few other notable features of the Alloy Core include its solid and durable reinforced plastic construction, which you can really feel when you pick it up. The ability to lock your keyboard without having to lock your PC, a braided cable, and the ability to resist spills. Now, I didn't test that one for myself, but according to HyperX, the keyboard can handle a spill of up to 120 milliliters, which is about a half cup of liquid. So there you have it. That is the Alloy Core RGB wired membrane gaming keyboard. I actually really enjoyed using this one. I think it would make a great everyday keyboard, and it would also be a good choice for gamers that are looking to save some money. At $49.99, this is a good option all the way around. Now, next up, let's check out the HyperX Alloy Origins wired mechanical gaming keyboard with red linear switches. The MSRP for this one is $109.99. So why the jump in price from the previous keyboard I talked about? Well, it comes down to 3 things: construction, special features, and those HyperX red linear mechanical switches. Let's start with construction. The second you take this out of the box, you're taken aback by the weight and feel of this keyboard. The body is entirely made from aircraft-grade aluminum, and if you can judge the quality of a product by the satisfying tactile feel of its construction, then this one is most definitely high quality. Kind of reminds me of that scene from the first Jurassic Park movie where the kids find the night vision goggles in the Jeep, and Gennaro says, "Hey, where'd you find that? Are they heavy? Then they're expensive." Although, considering what you get for the price here, I would not consider this keyboard to be expensive. Another cool design feature is the compact nature of the keyboard itself. Nothing extra has been added size-wise. It's a full-size keyboard with 10 key, and it still has a compact footprint. It also comes with a detachable braided cable right here that features a USB connection. All of these features aid in making this keyboard super easy to transport. Now, let's talk about those special features. You get most of the standard features that are available in the Alloy Core keyboard we just looked at. For instance, you've got game mode with 100% anti-ghosting, and you can choose from multiple RGB backlight presets. This time, each key features an exposed LED backlight, so you can see how bright they are in comparison. One thing this keyboard doesn't include are those designated RGB, game mode, and audio control keys, which is okay because you still have quick access to all of those settings. You just hold down the function key, then press the corresponding marked keys. But just switching through a few RGB presets? That's not enough for the Alloy Origins keyboard. No, through the use of HyperX Ingenuity software, you can fully customize RGB settings right down to selecting what color you want every individual key or groups of keys to be. You can also use this software to set up macros. Luckily, the Alloy Origins keyboard offers onboard memory to save 3 different profiles, whether you want to use them for different games, purposes, or even for separate users. Now finally, let's talk about those switches. This is a mechanical keyboard, which means unlike the membrane keyboard we talked about, this keyboard uses an individual mechanical switch for every individual key. This is often preferred for gaming as mechanical keyboards are more accurate, more responsive, and they're faster. Another advantage to mechanical keyboards is that they last longer, since the switches hardly ever wear out, like these HyperX Red switches that are rated for 80 million keystrokes. 80 million. The trade-off here is that mechanical keyboards are generally much louder than membrane keyboards, but it's a small price to pay for all those extra benefits, and honestly, some people prefer the sound of a mechanical keyboard. Now, something to keep in mind here is that when it comes to switches, not all switches are created equal. You've got different types of switches: clicky, tactile, and linear, like the ones that this keyboard uses. It mostly comes down to preference, whether you prefer tactile and clicky switches that feature a bump in the middle of the keystroke as you press down, or linear switches, which I'm a big fan of, that offer a smooth press all the way through the keystroke. Now, I've used other mechanical gaming keyboards before, and sometimes I've felt the resistance and the height of the keys to be unwieldy and difficult to adjust to. But those sensations were minimized with this keyboard, and it feels very natural and comfortable to use. I think this makes it a great option for gaming, but it's also a viable option for typing and everyday use. So there you have it. That is the HyperX Alloy Origins mechanical gaming keyboard with HyperX Red linear switches. So, what were my thoughts? Well, is love too strong of a word for how I feel about a keyboard? I don't think so. This one retails for $109.99, and if that fits into your budget, it's absolutely worth it. To learn more about either of the keyboards I just talked about and a ton of other great HyperX products, check out hyperxgaming.com. You can also pick these up right now from GameStop.com and at select GameStop stores. All right, I'm Erik, and I'll see you in the next episode of Decoded.